Thank you for taking the What Flavor is Your ADHD quiz. You will be getting the results in the email, and I'm going to walk through what each of these is so that it makes more sense. You ready? Okay, so you got your flavor results in your email box, and this is sort of what they look like. So I'm going to walk through this example and just give you some ideas of what it can mean depending on what your scores are. So the 3 boxes, organization, energy and emotions, and attention and focus, were kind of the basic big chunks that I could break it down into. And if you are close to the center on the spider graph, that means that it's a challenging area. And if you're closer to the outside, then it means it's pretty manageable or you're really good at it. So this particular person has challenges prioritizing, and then kind of moderate challenges with difficulty starting tasks, time management, and organization. So what that could look like in the working world or school, life in general, I guess, if you have a big project, this person would have a hard time prioritizing which steps come first, second, third. They'd have difficulty starting it in the first place. And then time management would come in such that they don't know how long each task will take. So it's hard to manage their time. It's hard to give themselves enough time to complete the project because they don't actually know how long it will take. And then once they have all the information, organizing it in a meaningful or informative way would also be a challenge for them. So that's what that can kind of look like. Emotions and energy. So this person is an extraordinarily good problem solver. They can be inflexible in their thinking. They have a lot of extra energy. They're somewhat impulsive to very impulsive. And they have big emotions. And what that can look like is friend, coworker, student, always fussing. So moving their body, fussing at a pen, has a fidget. Impulsive, blurts out answers, interrupts, again, either physically or verbally, and then big emotions. So they get super excited, or they get super angry, or they get super sad. And if you come to them with a problem, they will come up with an amazing answer to your problem. If not a multitude of amazing answers to your problem, because they're extremely creative problem solvers. So that's what that can kind of look like. And the inflexible thinking is in the example of a big project. If they have a plan that they finally come up with and somebody changes that plan or changes the timeline, it's hard for them to change gears. So the inflexible thinking is having challenges in changing gears, or when plans change unexpectedly and kind of getting back to a baseline with the new idea and not being frustrated with it can be a challenge. Attention and focus. So this particular person is pretty manageable. So they're not very distractible. They're not super forgetful. Their working memory is pretty good, and they do not have difficulty completing tasks. So in this example, again, if they have a big project, it's hard to get started, but once they're started, they generally speaking can finish it, and they don't get too distracted along the way. So that's kind of what these 3 boxes break it down into. And then if you go further down, we have the line graph. So it's this information from each of the 3 boxes in kind of a different format because everybody learns differently. So if your dot is along this side, it is a challenge for you. If your dot is along this line, it is pretty manageable for you. And the lines are different lengths because they represent all of the respondents' scores from lowest to highest, which means big emotions in this example, nobody had super manageable big emotions in the group that has taken the quiz. So the hot pink is your score. The blue is the median, and median is as many above as there are below. So it's a little bit different than average. And then if it's a purple dot, your score is the same as the median score. So in this example, it's pretty easy to see that this particular person has challenges prioritizing, challenges, or no, that's the median for problem solving, and they are extraordinarily good problem solvers. So here they have challenges prioritizing. What else do they have challenges in? A little bit bit below the median in inflexible thinking, so they're a little more black and white. And then you can see that these are manageable traits. So it's just a different way of looking at the information from the spider graphs because, again, everyone's brain works a little bit differently. And then when you move on to page 2, this is kind of the non-ADHD stuff that gives you an idea of what environment your ADHD is working within. So this particular person has heavy self-talk, which means they're not very nice to themselves when they're thinking about themselves. And having not very nice self-talk can tie into up here, making it even more difficult to get started because you're not getting started and then you get down on yourself for not getting started. So the heavy self-talk can have an impact on pretty much every area of your life, and oftentimes is a good place to start when you're wanting to improve ADHD symptoms, because the more that you can be kind to yourself and let things go, like not let yourself off the hook, but let things go and have it be okay that you made a mistake, then it becomes easier and easier to try and remedy that mistake. So this particular person for rejection sensitivity is on the lower side, medium to lower, which means when somebody makes a comment, they don't necessarily take it personally, or they don't think that people have a negative view of them, generally speaking. And then I asked about exhaustion because if you are exhausted, it's hard to do pretty much anything. So this person's a little bit more than average in exhaustion and could probably use some rest. If you're way over here, your first and foremost priority should be to find a way to rest. And rest is kind of a dirty word in Western society. It is also translates to lazy or just not doing anything. Well, rest is hugely important. Your body needs it, your mind needs it, your soul needs it. And it can mean something different to everybody. So for some people, rest is going out dancing every night because that feeds their soul, that gives them good stuff. And for others, rest is napping or sitting in a quiet place and just contemplating nature. So you need to figure out what rest means to you, and as best you can incorporate that into your world if you are on the higher side of exhaustion, because until you get that kind of figured out and dialed in to normal or low, you will have a hard time remedying any parts of your life and symptoms of ADHD. And then personality, I put this in here. This particular person is closer to an introvert versus extrovert. And the way I define those, which is a more common definition these days, is an introvert gets energy when they are alone. So they kind of refuel themselves. And an extrovert gets energy when they're around other people. So if you're extremely introverted and you are working on group projects, it's going to be a challenge. So just knowing that about yourself can sometimes reduce the challenge. So I just like, and most people know if they're kind of an introvert or an extrovert, but if you think about it as where you get your energy, that can be a little bit different take on it. So there's lots of shy extroverts out there. Because it's not a matter of putting yourself out there, it's a matter of being around people and getting energy from other people. So these kind of go into detail about each of those. So if you're exhausted, you need to get some rest. And self-talk, if it's heavy, you need to figure out a way to be more kind to yourself when you are thinking about yourself. And I have some tips and tricks for that. Rejection sensitivity, just knowing about it can help reduce it. But it is a big deal. It is a big part of ADHD, and it can be hugely impactful to how you view the world and how you view yourself. And so understanding it is the first step, and then you can start to work on the self-talk that comes along with it. And then personality is just obviously do things that suit your personality. If you enjoy spending time alone, then don't sign up for all the group activities. If you enjoy spending time with people, maybe don't go on a solo hike, that kind of thing. So it's just kind of bringing it into your awareness so that you can plan for it. And then back up here where you have manageable symptoms and you have your challenging areas, is your life structured such that your challenging areas are being supported and you can really shine in the areas that you do well? So that's kind of a question to ask, and this gives you an idea of where to look. So, do I have a job where I'm constantly having to start new things? Because that is obviously a challenge. Am I in a job where it's just problem solving and I absolutely love it and I'm a superstar? So that kind of thing. So just knowing what your environment is, which parts of you can succeed in that type of environment, and which parts of you are kind of challenged in that environment, and then what you can do to support your challenge areas and your strengths to support it all. I'm not a big believer in the idea that you have to fix your weaknesses. I think you should be aware of them and you should take them into account. However, if it's possible to get support for them, I would suggest that, and then lean into your strengths. So those are the basics of what flavor is your ADHD. I hope this was helpful to you. And if you'd like to dive deeper, you can book a 45-minute free coaching call with me, and we can see if I'm a good fit to help you get where you want to go. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching this all the way through. I hope it was interesting and informative. And if you would like to dig deeper or work together, you can schedule a discovery call with the link below. And I look forward to meeting you.